Welcome to Bleav in Chargers. A little bit late today, so apologies, everybody, as you hear Preston tickling that fretboard. I had some stuff with her up in Los Angeles earlier today. So daughter took priority. Appreciate you, Lo and Lindsay, for accommodating. Had a great day with her.
How'd
And here
it go?
we are. It went well. It went
Good,
well.
good.
We were up seeing some music folks, and I was rekindling some old relationships that I used to have when I was busy doing this sort of stuff, and that's why that stuff sits behind me. So it was great experience. And hey, if you want to support her, you want to support the young lady that did that sweet intro for us, you can follow her on Preston Smith, Prestyn Smith at Spotify. Check out her new song and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, so I appreciate everybody, especially you and Lindsay, Lo, because I know everyone likes to have this pod ready for their morning commute or at least their return commute when they're sitting in traffic and stuff. So that's on me. Sorry. So you'll have it tomorrow. You'll have it for your Thursday morning commute. And hopefully that'll suffice because we're going to give you the good content here. And a big thank you to our friends at FanDuel, as they're the ones that put us on. Lo, you're also someone who adjusted here today. You ended up pulling over and you're hanging out at a pal's house. Is that the deal here?
Absolutely, man. You know what? Hey, got to get it done. Hey, when the pod comes, we got to find a way to make it happen. All of our Bolts fans are very, very excited. We got the great Thanksgiving. So much to be thankful for. And we're thankful. Everyone wanted to jump off the bridge last week, Money.
Right.
We kept them on. They went after us, but the Chargers came through. Ugly win, but a win is a win, and I'll take it.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, look, it was a rough first half, but you know, at least offensively, I think you would say. Defensively, fantastic. 60 minutes of football, no doubt about it. We're going to get into some of those particulars and also look forward to the Eagles. Right now, I'm looking at FanDuel. Eagles favored by 3. So even though the Chargers were impressive, the Eagles have been struggling to a point where their offensive coordinator's house is getting egged by those psychos in Philadelphia. They still think Philadelphia is the better team, and they got them favored by 3. So if you don't agree with that, and I particularly don't agree with that right now, go ahead, take advantage of that. Some props they got going. Justin Herbert with his broken left hand, 209.5 is the passing yards. 1.5 is the over-under for touchdowns. They got him at a no interception as it's favorite. Actually, no, it's minus 114 for both. And let's see, plus 650 to run in a touchdown. I think that's why that number's so high. I don't think you want him out there exposing the broken. I Bleav he broke this particular bone, for those of you watching on the metacarpal right here, I think is what I read. So that's where he had the surgery. Typically, I was talking to my buddy who's an ortho and said, yeah, usually there's going to be some steel in there, maybe a plate, at least screws. And, you know, they'll make a glove for him. And, you know, Herbert, Lo, he'll go out there and he'll play.
No question. I mean, see the guy out there playing with a broken hand. And after halftime, he goes in like, hey, go in for a couple of plays. All right, hold it down. And, you know, say, I'll hold it down for a couple of plays and let me come in. It was good to see, you know, at least the backup quarterback, you know, Lance didn't turn the ball over for those limited amount of plays. He looked really good, sharp, took care of the ball, and that's what you want. You want to see a guy come in off the bench, come in cold, and protect the lead, but also don't turn the ball over. Don't do anything stupid. Don't turn a bad mistake into a worse mistake. You saw him just throw the ball out of bounds, get out of bounds. He played very, very safe, but that's what Justin, Justin's a bull. The guy's an ox. We know that, but here's a guy, you know, we just got to keep that guy upright. Can't take as many chances. I know he likes to run. I know he's a physical type of guy, but you need him in December and January, and that's where we're starting to march toward. Just want that guy upright. And this big, you know, little shot, didn't really see it happen, but Justin's got to take care of himself because you need him more now than ever because this is a tough stretch coming up here.
It's a crazy stretch. You know, it's probably the toughest of any of the teams in the playoff race right now. You're talking about the defending Super Bowl champions, followed by, on a short week, the defending AFC champions, followed by a Dallas team that has got one of the most explosive offenses in the NFL right now, and in Dak Prescott, someone who's probably going to finish top 5 in MVP voting. And then after that, you got the best defense in the league coming in the Houston Texans. And then after that, you've got a team that's tied for the best record in the AFC in the Denver Broncos. That's their finishing 5. The good news is they've already beaten the Chiefs. They've already beaten the Broncos. The Texans still aren't quite right offensively. That's really just been a defense that they're trying to ride all the way into this thing. And in the case of the Broncos and Chiefs, they've already beat them. You know, they've already beat those 2 teams. And Philadelphia comes in struggling, really struggling. We'll get to that in a second. I think probably better just to focus on what we saw out there, Lo, because I think so much of it is a product of what we've been talking about coming off that Jaguars game of, just let's see those receivers beat us. Let's get up in there a little bit more, man. Let's see, commit some more resources to the box and commit some more resources to stopping the run. And man, I thought we saw that repeatedly. I mean, when I go through the recaps, I'm seeing covers. I'm seeing zeros, 0 blitzes on, I think, 7 plays, 15% of the plays. I'm seeing cover 3 at the highest clip, not quarters, not cover 2, but cover 3 was 38%. They had Tony playing that single high a lot. And I mean, I felt like every time I looked up, I'm seeing one of those defensive backs in the box committed to either a run blitz or a fit or setting the edge. I mean, it really felt like they shifted coming off the bye week, especially on those run blitzes.
Oh, no question. You saw the defense get after it. They wanted to eat. Those guys were flying upfield, and the kind of we talked about, playing with their hair on fire, getting up, creating a new line of scrimmage. You saw those guys hitting guys and creating a new line of scrimmage, setting a hard edge, like you said, making it tough for Gentry to run in between tackles, really kept him bottled up. They were hitting, flying around, committing guys more in the box, playing cover 3, playing a lot of man, playing cover 3 and one single safety high at times. So you saw this defense say, we're going to ratchet up and let's see if you can beat us in the air. And that's what you saw. And you saw this team. Yeah, the Raiders, let's face it, they're a bomb. Them and the Cleveland Browns are the 2 worst teams in the league. You happen to catch one of them, but it's still the National Football League. And every dog has its day. The Raiders, that's always some rivals, so that you got their best performance. That's how they're going to play against the Chargers. So still, you beat a team, you take that win, you take it when you can get it. And that was good to see this defense, especially like you alluded to, after Jacksonville just really much had their way with you, beat you from post to pillar. And just to see that defense fly around, saw, guys in the box just hitting guys. You saw the safety, just hitting guys, playing them in the box. Saw him a lot man-to-man on the tight end. You really did a good job. Yeah, when you're playing against a good team and with good players, and the Raiders have a good tight end, they're going to get theirs. He's going to get theirs every now and then, but you just don't. Sometimes you get the bear, and sometimes the bear gets you. I just thought they were able to keep them to a minimum. They just played solid all the way across defense, like you said, for 60 minutes.
Yeah, and we saw a lot more man. Like I said, you got cover 0 on 15% of the plays, cover 3 on 38% of the plays, and that was something that Jesse Minter talked about, that if he's going to run the defense that he thinks benefits his players the most, what do they fit into? And we saw him with a lot of with man from Cam Hart, which we expect, big and physical. Dante Jackson from Tarheeb Still, from Ben St. Juste. He didn't have a lot. I think Ben ended up having like 5 or 6 snaps out there, but you're seeing that, and you're committing more resources to getting after the quarterback, disrupting routes. And if you beat us over the top, then so be it, as opposed to just keeping everything in front of you, stay in your zone. Let's make you, work these 8 to 12 play drives and hope you make a mistake or we get you off schedule sooner or later. And instead of, letting them bring the fight to you, they brought the fight to them. And I thought it worked really well. The blitzes worked out fantastic. I mean, that sack that Derwin James had was like she was shot out of a cannon. Geno had no chance. And then on top of that, when you were running simulated pressures, Thule is turning into one of the best defensive linemen in the league. I mean, he is just, you line him on the edge and you want to try to get a tight, and that goes for any of the great rushers, right? You can't put a tight end on any of the great rushers or they're going to wreck you. And that happened in that game. And then when they kick him inside, he made life hell on those guards, man. And I'm anxious to see how he does in this Eagles game, because he's going to be as important as anybody on that defense to figuring out if this thing's going to work and if they can get this thing with a win against the defending Super Bowl champs. But I thought Thule, Thule was the player of the game. He had 4 tackles for loss. 2 of them were sacks. He was just a game wrecker the entire contest.
He really was. And I thought Khalil did a great job of setting the edge and letting the other guys eat by shrinking the pocket, guys. And I thought they did a great job of lane integrity. And what I mean by that, by guys standing in their lane and going on the way to the quarterback. You saw Geno, he had nowhere to maneuver in there because the lane integrity guys pressed to rush him and rushed him and kept him in the pocket. He couldn't get out and scramble and run. He can hurt you at times with his legs. They did a great job of keeping him bottled up. That pocket was collapsing in his lap. I mean, he got to that 7th step before he even got there. When he was trying to go play action and go down the field, he couldn't even get to that back step, and they were already that pocket was already collapsed. So they did a great job of laying integrity, rushing the quarterback, keeping him bottled up, didn't let him hurt him with his legs. I thought they did a great job. Looking forward to seeing what they got next week.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say, and again, it's the Raiders, and I get it. And there's no Jacoby Myers, and really it's Brock Bowers and nobody else on offense that you have to worry about because Ashton Genty's just struggling with that offensive line that's in front of him. And so that part I understand. That's the qualifier. At the same time, I thought it was the secondary's best game. I thought it was the best game they've played all season long. Just everything worked. That they with the exception of the Brock Bowers blown coverage on the touchdown, which Elijah was committed. You had Elijah just read it, is what I'm guessing. I think he had to pick between the outside and the inside. He picked outside, and there was no one there to pick him up. Denzel kind of let him go, and Elijah just committed to the wide receiver on the outside, and Brock Bowers was wide open to the back of the end zone. And that's, hey, if there's one guy, don't let 89. That's the only guy we care about. That's it. Everybody else, figure it out. But 89 is the one you got. So anyway, outside of that, the interception from Tony, I think, is a testament. I mean, it's teaching tape. It's, hey, here's a guy who sees Dante's got his receiver wrapped up. It's either going to be a catch and out of bounds for a minimal gain, or it's going to be broken up, but the guy's not going to be able to run after catch. So, I'm in cover 3 and I'm the single high. I'm just going to stand over here because what the hell do I have to do with this play? No, guy's sprinting over there, and Dante pops it up in the air. Next thing you know, Tony's got his 3rd interception of the season, and I think it's safe to say that he's going to be active. I didn't like that he was inactive all those games. It just feels like he's got a nose for the ball. Good things happen when he's on the field. He sees, Mickens is so young, and a lot of those run, in a lot of the run plays, he's just not just a tick slow, and Tony's not. And I think you saw that. So and to me, that helps Mickens out. Like, that's only going to help him as a rookie to have Tony out there. So I think we'll see him active and at least out there for like those 19, 20 snaps like we saw. And I think that helps that secondary out a lot.
It brings stability. Without a doubt, Money. He brings stability. He's a veteran type of guy, his veteran presence. He's got a better run fits than Mickens. Mickens not afraid. He's going to challenge you. He wants to hit you. But just Tony's just got that edge. You just watch him. His fits are better. He's tighter. He understands what everyone else is doing. So he knows how to play free. He understands what the defense is doing. So he's just not saying, okay, I hope I'm in the right position. Mickens is like, okay, let me make sure I'm doing everything right. Tony gets it. He's like, TJ just knows where the ball is going to be, has that knack for it. And you just see it. It's a better defense when he's on the field. And he brings a calming factor to the defense. They know who's back there, roaming around in the secondary. So you will see him active. You have to. Your defense has struggled too many times without him in there. And he just brings that defense is playing pretty well. They needed to play well. They needed to get a strong outing. And now you're getting ready to play another team that's going to give you some challenges. But their offense, they have capable weapons, but they just haven't played up to their par, especially with Saquon. And we know AJ, we know the receiver, what he is. But Philadelphia, they don't scare me at all. It's just about, hey, let's enjoy this win. I thought defensively they got an A minus. I give them the minus because they broke coverage and let that touchdown happen. But they definitely had a strong outing. Offensive side of the ball, if you're going to play, I'd like to see just cut down on the turnovers. Especially when you're down in the red zone, live another day, kick the 3, get the field goals, just start being safer with the ball. Don't take the chances, take the sack, do what you need to do to line up. I thought they did great running the ball. You saw the way that the Chargers ran the ball.
Vidal was incredible.
Fist was out there, like you talked about, having those big guys, move guys, double teaming. They just were nasty up front. That's the kind of offensive line to show that these guys can play at a high level because they were just in maul mode offensively up front.
Yeah, I'll start there just to wrap the game before we go to Philadelphia, but because we haven't talked about the offense yet. So, Vidal had an incredible game. He's now had 300-yard games, and this is someone who was basically cut. He was cut from the team and then re-signed to the practice squad. And with the injury to Najee, followed by the injury to Amari Hampton, he's pumped into running back number 1, activated. Thankfully, nobody claimed him off the practice squad, and he ends up becoming running back number 1. And he's now the first Charger running back to have 3 100-yard games in a season since Melvin Gordon did it. Back in 2018. Like that's what he's and you're talking about, the Dolphins game when they needed him, this game when they needed him because of Herbert's broken hand. And, You're talking about a back who's getting hit behind the line of scrimmage and still picking up 3 yards. Having a hole closed down, bounce it, and ripping off 8-yard carries. And it's someone who also was sensational in pass protection. He was fantastic in that game. And that's the thing about the Raiders' run defense is pretty good. I think it's 13th or 14th. Everything else on the team is trash, offensively and defensively, pass pro and all, pass defense. But, 13th is like, okay, it's going to be a struggle. And now Justin Herbert's got a busted left hand, and it's a 7-7 game. And Vidal's like, I don't care. Here's a 59-yard run, dude, straight to the house, for a touchdown. And I think the one thing you talked about, the big guys up front, and that was the concern with, and we'll get to the O-line. I don't want to speak too much, Lo, because I need you to get in here on this, but I'll just say on that 59-yard run to wrap this thought, like that's the key. To me, that's the special sauce for these Chargers was it pin and pull? I think it was a pin and pull. I don't think it was crack toss. I think it was, no, I think it might've been crack toss. I think, yeah, it was crack toss because Jamari comes off the tackle to get outside. But to have Ladd and Keenan right there to seal that thing off, and Ladd's holding his block or Trey Harris is holding his block. I'm sorry. The crack toss, I think, was Ladd. Anyway, I'm so messed up. My apologies. It was Trey Harris that held that block for Kimani's get 6 yards behind him, getting that, and he's just there holding, man, and he's holding I think it was Malcolm Kuntz, 250-pound guy that he's holding, and I think Keenan had Isaiah pull him out. I think. Point being, the wide receivers block. I'm sorry, Lo, I'm a mess. The wide receivers are blocking, and man, that's what helped Spring and was integral to Spring in that 59-yard run.
Without a doubt, they didn't get beat up the field. When you get beat up the field, you make the running back have to bounce and either have to stretch it or bowl the toss. He was able to get it and get downhill. They did a great job of kicking out and stand with their blocks. Great job of pulling, and Vidal did the rest. It was just a great offensive effort on that play, especially like you said, in receivers. These receivers aren't afraid to put their nose in there and block, and that's what you have to do. And you talk about this running back. I'm telling you right now, he'll never go on practice squad again. I mean, this guy, when you run the way that he's been running, and you see how he's running with the toughness, running through arm tackles like you alluded to, breaking arm tackles, pass blocking, nose up, understanding. He understands where he's been. And sometimes a hungry dog hunts best. When you see the way that this guy has bounced back, from going from practice squad to being pretty much on the street, here's a guy that said, if I get this opportunity again, I'm going to hold on to it. And he makes it easy now that going into next year, looking forward to Lamar and Hampton coming back. But he's going to be two. This guy has shown and earned the right to be the two. He's shown that he's capable in the pass game. He's shown that he can block. He's stepped up a lot of things. The maturity from last year to this year has been huge. And just to watch him run behind his pads with the pad level, when he gets hit, he's not going back. He's still turning his legs, moving. The yak yards, we like to call them, yards after contact. It was a good outing, and they put some good rushing numbers up. I was proud of this Chargers run game.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now, Lo. Would you care to venture a guess? 25 attempts. How many missed tackles do you think he forced?
Oh, 7, 8, 10. I mean,
11.
I thought it was. Dude, he
11
was
missed tackles, man.
Yeah, he was doing it. The guy was doing it. He runs through arm tackles. I like him. He's knows how to run, and he's just gotten better. I mean, over time, you get better. You get more opportunities, get more totes. The offense believes in you. The coaching staff believes in this young man, and he's playing a lot better, and he's playing up to expectations, and in some ways, he's exceeded them.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, Jared Patterson was great, too. JP came in there as the secondary back, 11 carries, 54 yards, 4.9 per, forced 4 tackles, 4.2 yards after contact per attempt. So you had a heck of a pairing between those two. And again, like I said, I know it's the Raiders, but it's the one thing they do. That's the only thing that they've done well. And it's not like it's a small sample size. It's week 13, and they're 13th in the NFL against the run. So, these are two. This is your running back 4 and 5 that are out there, carrying this team to a victory. And a lot of that, like you said, goes to the guys up front. Zion, it was Zion's best game of the year. He played fantastic. He's pulling all over the place. He's, picking up stunts. He was great, and he was helping out Jamari, in his first start at left tackle. And I think we found it. That's something that Coach talked about during the week is, or go after the loss to the Jaguars, going into the bye week. He said, what we need to do is find 5 and just settle on that 5. And that's what, because, it's Deculus at left tackle. It's Trevor Penning at left tackle. And it's been this rotating, it's just been this revolving door, and I just don't think it works. It's Mekhi Becton at guard, and then he gets hurt, and it's Jamari. Well, now it's Foster Sorrell at guard, and Jamari's at right, and it was just, I know a lot of it's going to depend on health, but I think moving forward, it's safe to say that Bozeman, Zion, Jamari, and Trey's had some injury situation, but those guys are set. And if Mekhi can stay healthy, it'll be Mekhi Becton. If not, it's going to be Bobby Hart. Harbaugh said that. He'll be with Jamari now, he is your starting left tackle moving forward. And I think he played well enough, because what do you always say? Just give me baseline, man. Give me baseline and we're good. I don't need you to be Rashawn Slater or Joe Alt. You're not going to be. But if you can give me an league average effort, we're going to be able to cook. And I think you saw that in that game.
Oh, you did. You saw them cook because everyone and they bought in. And it was a game that, it's a bye week. Usually come off a bye week, your body's fresh. And that wasn't I think that you're going to have still a fresh team. That bye came at a great time for the Chargers. So the guys understand. And it's great for their psyche, go out and have success against a team, like you said, 13th, middle of the pack against the run. So they wasn't a layup. It was a team that is stout against the run. You were still able to have your way up front. And guys got after it. You saw guys running downfield, pushing the pile, getting in there, doing those extra things. This is what you want to see from your offensive line. And that was hopefully that was a precursor of things to come, because right now, December, this is playoff month. Every game, this is playoff. This is where you make your hay. This is where you cut your teeth. And the Chargers are going to be in these games. I know they're not going to be favored, probably maybe one game, maybe moving forward, but most of the time it's going to be the dog moving forward. This is going to be a tough sledding. They'll probably be favored maybe in Kansas City, but Denver no, not going to be favored. They're not favored this week. The Texans, I think one of the hottest teams right now. If you ask me, who's the hot team in the NFC? I would say it's the Dallas Cowboys. There right now, if they get in, they can cause problems. They had a horrible start, so I don't think they're going to make it. But the Dallas Cowboys, they're cooking right now.
Yeah.
Defensively, what they've been able to do is ride the ship. And another team that they're playing that's cooking, probably another hottest team in the AFC, is the Houston Texans. So you're looking at this Chargers team. They got 2 hot teams in each, one in NFC and one in the AFC, that's playing their best ball right now.
Yeah, and it's up to the Chargers to string these together now. After the disappointment, just imagine, had they not laid the egg against Jacksonville, you're talking about a 5-game win streak, and the Chargers are the hottest team now, and they've solved this whatever problem it was that they had. Unfortunately, Jacksonville happened. And that's the thing about this year with the Chargers is the losses are weird, right? It's the Giants, it's the Commanders, it's the getting blown off the field in the first half by the Colts before you woke up, and then it was just too late. You dug yourself too big of a hole. It's the Jaguars that, were having serious issues. Now they're playing a lot better football right now since they traded for Jacoby Myers, and, Trevor has settled in, and it is one of the better rushing attacks. So that part, but, for whatever reason in that game, Josh Hines, Allen, Trayvon Walker weren't doing anything all season. They woke up in that game, and that's the past, though. But the one thing you mentioned, Lo, I do want to point out, you mentioned the receivers. And even though Justin only threw for 160 yards and only attempted 20 passes, everybody had these key catches. Trey Harris had a monster grab for a first down, like he does in every single game. Keenan Allen's first 3 catches, 3 targets, 3 catches, all on third down, all for first downs. Oronde Gadsden had the only explosive in the passing attack, that 27-yard grab that unfortunately was a first and goal, should have been a touchdown. It was an interception. Q had a great touchdown grab and an awesome first down grab that he had to slide and catch the ball as he was going to the ground. And of course, like we said, Ladd had the touchdown that he came back for on a scramble drill. Like every one of those players had these monster catches, even though there weren't a ton of receiving yards.
Yeah, you're absolutely. The receivers, they made some big plays at crucial times. It's when they made those, like you said, we saw gassing down the middle of the field. They did a little gassing down the middle, caught that big pass, should have went in and scored after that, but they didn't. big pass. Keenan's the ageless wonder. He knows how to beat coverage, understands where the soft spots in the defense. Lad's just going to be Lad. The guy who cuts on a dime and leaves 9 cents change. Trey Harris now is starting to come into his own, figuring this thing out as the season progresses. Here's a guy, he is a playmaker. You got some young guys on this team, this receiving core, that are making big time plays at crucial situations. So that's good to see. Your young guys are stepping up when they need it.
Yeah, and now as we shift low, let's shift to that Philly game, because I'm looking at these Eagles. Here's their stretch, these last 4. They have scored 10, 16, 21, and by the way, that game they scored 21, they allowed 24 unanswered and lost the game 24-21 to the Cowboys, and 15. Now, when you look at it on paper, it does not look like a team that should be in that sort of rut when you've got Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley and A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert and that offensive line. And I know the offensive line's banged up, but they're in a serious rut right now. And it's up to the Chargers to keep them in that rut, to get, the Bears just ran for 280 yards against that defense on Friday. And you've got a Charger team that just had Kimani and Jarrett Patterson team up for 180 rushing yards.
Yeah, I watched Chicago, the Bears. Who would have thought? The Bears is the number one, as the playoffs would start today. They're the number one seed in the NFC. The Bears absolutely created a new line of scrimmage. They pushed them off the ball. They were 5-6 yards down the field. The running back had we was seeing green grass in front of him. It was amazing to watch them get pushed off the line. The depth on Philadelphia is not there. They try to make some plays, but you watch guys out of their lanes. They're trying to make plays. They're reaching on defense. Here's a team that had a dominant defense that's not, because they're real and trying to get turnovers and do those things. The Chargers have to come out here and say, Herbert, don't turn the ball over. Look, let's play Philly. They have not shown you that they can go out and score consistency. The Philadelphia Eagles, the biggest thing, more than the defense, right, they have not playing well. The biggest thing, what's missing is Saquon. Last year when they went to the Super Bowl and got on that run, that's because Saquon made it easier for the quarterback, because teams were committing 9-8 guys in the box trying to stop the run. Now Saquon is not looking like Saquon. He's getting hit in the backfield. He can't get loose. And you watch the quarterback, you put the pressure on him and make him beat you. This year, he has not been prolific. And that's the biggest thing, is because the inability of the Philadelphia Eagles run game, it puts a lot of pressure on the quarterback. And if you can get to Jalen Hurts, he's not a guy that wants to run, but he can hurt you with his legs. But if you can do that, shut him down and double the receiver, double number 11. Make sure you do not let him beat you, because he's frustrated. He wants to make plays. He feels the ball should be coming to him every single time.
Yeah.
You got to bracket coverage. You got to make them look. Someone else on that team has to beat you besides him, AJ and Saquon. It's simple. That formula is very, very simple, and you can win this game, because this offense doesn't scare me. They haven't shown that they should, but you got to respect them, and you can't let Saquon get off early and think that it's going to be. You got to hit him, and you'll see him tap that helmet. He'll want to come out. He'll look around the offensive line. That is going to be pivotal this Monday night under the lights. You have to shut down that run and see if this quarterback can beat you. But right now, they show them offensively, they just don't have the firepower.
Yeah, and I think a big one is whether or not Lane Johnson's going to be back. He's listed as questionable right now, and if he's back, that can change a lot of things, because you're talking about arguably the best tackle tandem in the league when you got Lane Johnson and Jordan Mailata out there. With Dickerson and Juergens on the inside, Steen's been a little weak. So and I think Dickerson's dealing with an injury, so he's not 100%, but you never root for an injury, but I can root for a guy not to come back from injury, so that's kind of what I'm hoping for in the case of Lane Johnson. But I think it's just do what you did against the Raiders. I'd like to see just more of that. Let's force, and look, Trey Tucker and Dante Thornton aren't Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown, so I'm sure it's going to be a little more disconcerting for Jesse Minter to play man against those two guys versus what he was doing against the Raiders. But at the same time, I just feel like it's more effective. And I think, I'm looking at, I couldn't believe it when I pulled up the Jalen Hurts numbers, when I pulled up his game log.
Ferocious.
Look at this. He's got and I'm talking just rushing numbers. 31, 33, 31, 27, 22, -10, 13, 3. That's his last stretch of games in rushing. And, the TDs are there. There's 4 of them over that same stretch, but it ain't what it used to be. It's not. And like you said, I think a lot of it is a product of Saquon and him not being as effective. But if you can prevent, like if I go back to the year prior and I'm looking at his numbers, it's 40, 40, 60, 30, 40, 40, 60, 60. Like that's, and here's touchdown, 2 touchdowns, 1 touchdown, 0, 1 touchdown, 1 touchdown, 1 touchdown. That's the same sort of stretch, and we're not seeing that from Jalen. And on top of that, he's just not throwing the ball that well this year. So hope is that it's not a get-right game for the Eagles because they've really been struggling lately.
They have, and that's why you got to jump on them. You're playing at home. You got to come out with energy. This is Monday night. You got to come out and punch them. And the tush push isn't the tush push any longer. You watch the way that tush push has been getting stopped. Jalen doesn't like it. You heard him say, "Hey, I don't want to be pushed at times." They don't like it. They're not as dirty. They're not, Kelsey, not having Kelsey there. That was that guy who makes it happen, could dig you out. They're not doing that as well. And you see them getting stopped a bunch of times and saying, then their coach, he's not going to be so amped to go for it, especially the way that they're playing. You got doubt on that team. Offensively, you have doubt. Defensively, you have doubt. When they used to go on 4th and 2, 4th and 1, it used to be automatic. They're going to go for it. They would go for it on their own 10-yard line. They'd go for it on their own 20, and it was just Mr. Automatic. So they were going to do it. Now you look at them, they're going to be punting the ball. They are afraid. I mean, they're not confident. They're not, I'm not going to say that's the wrong word, afraid, but they're not playing with confidence that they've had. And you see them now pointing the fingers. They look just not there. This is a huge game for the Chargers. You get this win, I'm telling you, anything can happen. This is a game, in my opinion, Money, out of all the rest of the games, I'm just going to say it, this game you should win. This is a game, I know you're not favored, but the way that Philadelphia is playing, their inability to score points against lesser opponents, you go look who they've been playing against. They're not going out and lighting it up. The Chargers have the ability to score some points if they just don't turn the ball over and just take what the defense gives you and don't get in a hurry. Don't try to make it happen, because make Philadelphia work. Don't make them get it in short field.
I think you look at the contrast between the Jacksonville game and the Raider game and just the run game, right? And how they abandoned the run and they couldn't get that going. And then what that did to Justin getting his head knocked off and everything just got all, to me, it's just commit to the run. Do what the Bears did, man. You got all these guys that want to pin their ears back. These big dudes up front and Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter, and they want to get sacks and they want to pressure the quarterback. And on the edges, Jalen Phillips and Nolan Smith and like all these dudes want to get Zach Bond. They want to get after you, man, and just run right into them and force them to slow that down like the Bears did. And they couldn't do it. They couldn't do it with DeAndre Swift. They couldn't do it with Monangai, the rookie. And look, it's a good Bears line. It's an experienced line. They traded for Tooney, and a lot of their guys have been around for a while. And that's what Ben – and look, we know that Ben Johnson draws up run game better than anyone after what he did in Detroit all those years. So you got a guy who's very creative in the scheme. But, Greg Roman's pretty damn good at run game as well. Yeah. And we saw that, by doing what he's doing with Kimani Vidal and with Jared Patterson. So to me, that's the key. Commit to the run. Run it how you were with Trevor Penning as your jumbo. I know it was only 4 snaps, but run that jumbo with your extra tackle out there. Run it with both Matlock and Tucker Fisk out there as, in your 22s. And to me, that's the key to this. It certainly is not dropping Justin back 40 times and throwing it all over the yard. I don't think that's the path. I think it's very, even though they're a way more talent. I mean, you could not be on more opposite ends of the spectrum in terms of talent between the Raiders and the Eagles. But at the same time, I think you can kind of play them the same way. I think you can try to force Jalen Hurts to beat you with his arm, take away the run game, and on defense, run right into him. Don't let Jalen Phillips and Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter and these guys get after you and get upfield. Run right into them and see if you can get them on their heels a little bit.
Yeah, I could agree with you more. Well, tell me what your thoughts is with the big man. We're talking about, with our quarterback. How do you think he's going to play? We seen him play with the hand broken that day, But what are they saying? What do we look at? Is Trey getting a lot of reps this week? What's happening just
I mean,
around?
Trey, yeah, he didn't practice today. He didn't practice yesterday, but I don't think he has to practice. You know what I
No.
mean? Like, I think it's one of those, why are we putting him out there? And let's just let that thing heal as best as possible. They'll fashion a glove, I would assume, that'll, like they did in that game. I mean, ultimately it's not up to him. It's not up to Coach Harbaugh. It's up to the doctor. If the doctor says, hey man, you go out there and play and you can do some serious damage to yourself. Or you can say, you go out there and play, you'll be fine. Screws set. If we can get this glove on you, it's going to protect you. But if they say that there is risk going out there, if you take a shot to that hand, you can do some real damage to it, as opposed to giving it 2 weeks to heal. Is it an ideal 2 weeks? No, it's Philadelphia and Kansas City. It's the worst 2 weeks you could have picked. But at the same time, I think you don't want to be foolish about it. As much as I want to see him out there on Monday night, and I know he wants to be out there on Monday night, if ultimately that's what they say, that you got to let, that screw set, you got to let some bone grow in there and I'm not a doctor. I'm just saying I'm assuming that's sort of what the conversation will be.
Oh, no question. They're stemming that thing, ice and stemming. They're getting, electrodes and those things. Probably got him in the hyperbaric chamber, getting more oxygen flowing in the blood. Right. It's all kinds of different things that they can do, just to stimulate bone growth and all those things. The question is kind of, do you see that they'll have a package for Trey? Is this something you say, okay, they should have a package, maybe with the run or doing something, a keeper, a quarterback keeper, or an option? Because you don't want to limit, because you want to limit Herbert from running the ball. Is that something you see, or is that something you wouldn't consider?
Look, I said this on Monday, on Sunday night after the game when I was talking on the Instagram. I said, think about what Trey did. He comes in at his own 7-yard line, and on second down completes a pass to set up a 3rd and 1. Like, he drops back and he's staring at Max Crosby and Tyree Wilson and Malcolm Kuntz, and he's able to deliver that ball on the spot. He's running, he's basically running the option. And because he's so dangerous with his legs, ends are either committing to him or they've got to pick between, he's either keeping it or giving it. And that was effective, and they're picking up yards on the ground. So I do think, look, he took this team from the 7-yard line to the 49-yard line in plus territory to a +1. So you're talking about 44 yards of offense that started inside your own 10-yard line. That's good enough to me. That shows me that moment's not too big for him. He was ready to roll and ended up putting this team in a great position. And, like I said, that's what we're talking about with backups. You don't need to have a backup that's going to win you 8 games. Can you come in a spot and help me out? And I compared it to the San Francisco game. I think it was 2022 when Chase Daniel came in, and it was a mess, and it was they're at the 49 or 25 or something like that. And the first play, flips it over to Austin, dumps it to him, and he almost gets his head knocked off. Next play, throws an incomplete pass, and the next play throws high to Austin, and there was a safety crash in that could have picked the thing off. It's like, okay, that's a problem, right? That's right. When that's, I'm not trying to pick on Chase. I'm just saying, hey, that was a guy who was pressed in because Herbert was going into concussion protocol because he took a lick, and that's how those 3 plays look. And in this one, Trey comes in, handoff, no gain, 2nd down, 7-yard completion, 3rd down, option, pick up the 1st down, scrambles for 5 yards on a run, and he's effective. And that's what you want. And so, yeah, I think to your point, Lo, it's a long way for me to answer your question. I could see that. I could see them basically running. Just think, to me, I would describe it as he instead of having Kimani running Wildcat, he's your Wildcat back. Just snap it right to him, get the numbers advantage, and take off. And let him run, because we know he's tough, we know he's fast, and we know he can do it. So to me, that's kind of what I would do. I would throw him out there and run Wildcat. Maybe have him throw a pass into the flat to Kimani or somebody else. I wouldn't want to get too crazy with it against this Eagles team. They're pretty darn good. So that's how I would use it.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if they didn't. I could see them coming in for a max of 10 plays, but a bare minimum of 5. You want to keep that defense, keep them honest. You got the read option. Now with the way the Gaston's playing, you got the read option, put it in there, boom, pop pass right to the tight end. Some safe things you can do that makes it look like run, because Trey can hurt you with his legs. I think he can keep that defense honest for a couple plays, and you steal a couple. You still field position. You still a couple first downs. If you can do that with Trey and save some of the hits on Herbert, I think that's something that Harbaugh's going to consider.
Yeah, I think to me, if Herbert's playing, you know how Herbert is. He's like, I'm not coming out. That's just how he is. That's what he is. So I think that's the difference. But ultimately, I think we've pretty much covered it. To me, it's play defense how you played against the Raiders. I think it's very similar. I love committing the extra body into the box. Like we said, it was cover 3 and it was cover 0 more than quarters, more than cover 2 in that game. And I think it's very similar on defense, and it's more Tony Jefferson snaps. And I think we're starting to see Elijah Molden put a lick on Dante Thornton, man. So I think we're seeing like a more healthy. He needed that bye week bad. He's been dogged all year. So he looks a lot better, and I think that's a huge boost. And then I think on offense, it's also pretty similar. I thought Jamari acquitted himself well. I like the idea of the jumbo with Trevor Penning as your 6th offensive lineman. It was a lot more Tucker Fisk. And I think, Jared and look, I think we're going to have an Amari and Hampton game. I think it's going to be Amari and Hampton. It ain't going to be Kimani Vidal getting 25 carries. It's going to be Kimani probably getting 10 and Amari getting 20. And man, you want to talk about
he looks the par. You watch him in practice.
Yeah, I think he said he wanted to go on Sunday. He was like, I'm ready to go, man. So I think they just were like, we don't need you. Raiders suck. We don't need you.
Yeah.
Let's give you one more week and throw you out there against the Eagles when you are MC Fresh Legs. And,
well, let's roll him out and see what he's got. I'm excited about this game. It's Monday night. Monday you got the call. You got Monday night. Is there anything you do? I know we're about to wrap it up. Is there anything you do different for a Monday night game? Of course, it's still, you do it every Sunday. I get that. But Monday, is there a little bit more juice? Is there a little bit more you prepare for? Is there anything else?
Yeah, I think so. I think that there's people in their cars driving home from work. When you're doing it on Sunday, there's not as many people driving around. Some people going home from church or something, or maybe going to some friends' houses and they're listening to you in their car. But, it's Monday night. LA's greater LA area is 20 million people, and they're all, headed out of work, stuck on the freeways on the 4.0 fever and stuff. And they're, are in San Diego on a 5 and they're, miserable down there. So I think, that there's a lot more people listening to you on the radio because they're not home yet, because they're sitting in crappy Southern California traffic.
No question. Is there anything, Money, that can we get a Wool Nelly? Is there something that you got cooked up, or you want to just wait to? I don't want you to do it. It's just, you want to wait. We'll wait till Monday. But I imagine you got something. I think you got something up your sleeve.
I think though. You know what I'll do, Lo? Here's what I'll do for the Bleav listeners. If I can get a sweet Tucker Fisk, decleater a block, I'll just say, hey, that's a block that Lorenzo Neal would be proud of. Is he wearing 42? Is it one more than 41? Yeah, but in number only. However,
I can appreciate that. I can appreciate that, Money. I can appreciate that.
Yeah, it's something that Lo. I think you came up in the broadcast on Sunday. I feel like I brought something up that you had mentioned, and I don't remember what it was. But you come up on the game quite a bit because you make you give us great insight here, man, and great analysis.
Thank you.
So, but yeah, that's what we'll do. We'll give a little tip of the cap, and say, hey, the fact that Robert Kraft could be in the Hall of Fame before Lorenzo Neal is a crime against football. I'll leave it at that.
Hey, I love it, Money. You're the best. You're the best. Well, bolt up. Let's go Chargers, baby.
Right. Let's bolt up. Check out FanDuel. Take advantage of some of those things that they got sitting there right now. And a big thank you to our friends over there. We'll be back again next week, back in our regularly scheduled slot. Again, my apologies for this coming a little bit late for those of you. But hey, enjoy it on the way into work on Thursday. We appreciate all of you. Remember to comment, to like, to rate, to share. All that stuff helps the pod out a lot. And we'll be back next week. Appreciate you, Lo, and appreciate your friend. You want to give him a little shout out?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Appreciate you letting me hang out at the crib. And let me tell you right now, I know you guys like FanDuel and you guys are betting. Take the Chargers. They're going to win outright.
There we go. We'll be back again next week, everybody, and bolt up.